All right, welcome everyone. Here we're going to be doing the play-ins for groups as well as the regular group stage predictions that I will be doing. My name is King Tiltlord. I hope you guys like we're going to be doing now. We're going to be focusing on Worlds 2020. It is very interesting because they are doing it online in China. Not going to be doing it on stage, so obviously it'll affect a little bit of how things are working out this year. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to work on the play-ins. This all just got announced earlier this morning, so I figured I'd go into it and do a quick little rundown of what I expect that's going to happen. Obviously, this is just my perspective. You guys can have your own opinion. Excuse me. If you have your own opinion and you don't agree with mine, let me know in the comments. Let me know who you think's going to make it. If my group stage is completely wrong from yours, let me know. That's why we do this, to bounce back opinions between one another. So, let's start off with Group A plans. As you can see on the sheet, we have 5 teams. The first seed I see personally going on is Team Liquid. I think Team Liquid's a step above Mad. I think Mad was really, really inconsistent in their playoffs for summer, where I think as Team Liquid's been the more consistent of the two. So I personally have Team Liquid as number 1. Mad Lions is number 2. My third seed, I wish they were in the other bracket, will be Supermassive. I think Supermassive will be the 3rd seed. Unfortunately, not qualifying for the bracket. And then we have Legacy, another good team. But I just think there's not really a chance when you're having an LCS and an LEC team in your group. It's going to be pretty hard to qualify. And then, unfortunately, the 5th seed, I do have INTZ. Brazil's had a really hard time in international events. I think it's going to continue this year. So that's it for Group A plans. It's pretty simple. Unfortunately, this year, the way they have the bracket set up is there's a lot of major regions in these play-in groups, making it really, really hard for some of these minor regions to really have a chance. So, Group B, we have the powerhouse of the play-ins, which is LGD, the number 4 seed from the LPL. I think LGD is probably the favorite out of all the play-in teams to make it out of groups even when they go into the regular group stage. So I have LGD here at number 1. Unicorns of Love will be my number 2 seed. I think UL has always proven that you're a very good team in the international stage. Wouldn't be surprised if they're the number 2 seed. PSG is at number 3. V3 is at number 4. And then R7, unfortunately, will be number 5. Not really much to say. I just think those three, there's a pretty big difference between LGD and UOL. Like, there's a step here for LGD, step down here for UOL, then they have the other 3 teams. I could be wrong, but this is the way I see it going. Moving on to if those were the correct teams to get out of the play-ins, this is how I see the group stage going. So in Group A, TL would join Group A. Unfortunately, I do not see TL making it out of groups. I only actually have 1 team from NA and 1 team from EU making it out, even though there's 4 teams from EU that possibly have a chance. The groups are so stacked this year. So right now I have G2 as the lone representative for me personally that makes it out. That G2 is obviously one of the better teams in the world. I wouldn't be surprised if they're either 1 or 2. I think Suning could beat them. Suning is a very good LPL team, number 3 seed. So I think Suning and G2 probably got one of the easiest groups, but sometimes when you get the easiest groups, it means G2 could let off the gas in groups, try not to show as much. So I think it'll be G2, Suning. TL won't really stand a chance. The playstyle mesh just doesn't work with an LPL team and a G2. Very early game, very fast-paced. To a TL team that likes to go very slow. Even Machi likes to play fast-paced. So don't be surprised if TL is closer to Machi than they are to Suning and G2. Moving on to Group B, man, this is such a strong group. With this, UOL joins as the wildcard team joining this group. You have Dongwon, JDG, Rogue, and UOL. I think Dongwon and JDG could go 1 or 2 here. It's kind of a flip of a coin. Which team plays better in the best of ones? I do favor JDG in best of ones a little bit more. But overall, I think Dongwon has better players. So we'll give it to Dongwon. And they just have better track record in Worlds, making it out of groups at least. So we have Dongwon, JDG. I think Rogue is a very young team. They're going to have a hard time competing with these teams, especially when you talk about some of the matchups in the mid lane, jungle, even top lane. I think top lane, Finn is going to get exposed against a team like Nogari and Zoom. So I just think it's going to be a very hard matchup. I think UL was pretty outclassed here too. Same as Group A, I think Rogue will compete with UOL for the bottom, not for the top 2. But, there could always be surprises. Group 3, this is the group that NA hopes an NA team can get out of because the other ones aren't looking that great. So we have TSM, LGD, Gen G, Fnatic. This group is one of the harder groups to predict, if not the hardest group to predict, just because it's 4 staples of League of Legends within their own regions. Gen G, former world champions, Samsung Gaming. LGD felt, were a great team back in the day. So my personal preference, I want to put LGD as 1, but I'm going to stick with TSM just because I think TSM had a little bit of growth with Broken Blade as a carry, and then also playing through bot side got a little stronger with obviously your Rock in Bjergsen, and Spica was even playing better. We'll see how they do in international competition. So right now I have TSM as 1, but I have to see the form that LGD is in when it comes to play-ins to make them number 2 seed. Gen G's, man, that's there's just something, maybe because I just am a fan of the Eastern teams, that I really, really, really want to put LGD and Gen G as 1 and 2, and Gen G or LGD being 1 and 2, just flipping those two around, and TSM ending 3rd or possibly 4th. But I think TSM has a good chance this year of getting out of groups for the first time in a long time. So I think we'll see TSM, LGD, Gen G, which those two will be very close, and then Fnatic in the bottom. I think Fnatic had one really good playstyle that they kind of caught G2 off guard with, but I don't think it's going to be enough to be able to beat some of these stronger teams that have stronger laners in pretty much every role. So I think it'll be pretty hard for Fnatic to win some games in this group. Moving on to Group D, man, this is Group D, the classic Group D, Group of Death. You have Top Esports, possibly the number 1 team in the world, playing with DragonX, possibly the second best team in the world. DragonX has very high highs, very low lows. So I think Top and DragonX could be very, very good. We'll be looking to see how DragonX plays in play-ins in these group best of ones. That'll be the biggest differentiator whether Mad gets in or not. So right now I have Top Esports and DragonX as 1 and 2. I think Mad could finish 3rd if they can capitalize on some DragonX playing that as well, because we've seen in the past that Korean teams outside of T1 haven't really played that well, and they kind of get smashed. So we'll see what they do in the world stage. Flyquest is my dark horse in this group, as well as most groups, as an underrated team that could go far. Flyquest to me has the most potential of any NA team to go the furthest this year, just because they have flexibility in their draft, they have flexibility in their play styles, they play through top, they play through mid. The most of them they play weak side top, but I just think it's going to be really hard living solo on an island against some of these really, really good top laners in this region. And the bot lane, there's a pretty big difference between Death and Jackie Love and even Karzi to Wild Turtle. So I just think it's feast or famine for Flyquest. I think they could do pretty well, or they could just lose all 6 of their games. That too is the case of Worlds. When you have so many good teams from 2 dominant regions in EU and LPL, and then even the LCK, even though they haven't been playing that well, they're always going to be considered a dominant region. So it'll be very interesting. This is just my projections. Like I said, guys, let me know what you guys think. I'm really looking forward to seeing play-ins starting on the 25th, so 10 days from now. Look for an updated kind of projections once we get after play-ins. I'll be doing an updated projections list to see, hey, based on how these teams played in play-ins, I'm maybe favoring them better in their group. You never know. Or maybe I'll just get more information as to what teams are not playing that well in their their games prior to Worlds for scrims. But with that, that's it for me, guys. If you guys liked the video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and have a good one.